Hey, I'm Doc Jen, Doctor of Physical Therapy, and I want to help you with the front lunge, particularly because I hear a lot of people getting knee pain in that front leg with that front lunge. So I'm going to show you a modification that you can take, but also how you can correct your form so that you stay out of that knee pressure. You get a little bit more into that hip and that bum. So when it comes to the front lunge, what I see happening a lot is that people are diving their weight all the way forward. When you keep your shoulders back and you allow your hips to come forward, this puts a lot of forward pressure on that knee, as you can tell. And now my quad has to do a lot more work, because if I go into an excessive bend here and then I have to straighten all the way back out to potentially get to this starting position, that is a long way for that quad to be stretched around that knee and have to activate and work. And so what ends up happening is that people are doing this really long lunge into their knee without having progressed properly into that type of lunge. Now, a quad dominant lunge is not bad. However, it does take work and it takes progression to be able to tolerate that amount of pressure on your knee. So a modification that you can take if you have front lunges in your programming and you're not quite ready for it is to do a reverse lunge. So instead of the front lunge, say this is the leg I want to work, I'm going to take that opposite leg back and I'm going to think of pulling my hip back with this hand. So as I lunge, I'm going to pull this hip back, and what that does, it aligns my leg. So my knee is over my ankle, so it doesn't put as much pressure onto that knee. I'm bending more at my hip, so it stretches in my glute, and then I press back up. So now, rather than having that knee doing most of the work, it's my hip that's doing most of the work. So you'll get a little bit more into your glute, a little less into that quad. However, if you want to keep doing that front lunge, let's give you some tips and cues on what you can do to stay out of that knee pain. So when you're going into that front lunge, think of it the same way that I instructed that reverse lunge, by pulling that hip back. So now with the leg that's coming in front, I'm going to think of pulling this hip back and reaching forward. So from the front, that looks like this. I'm pulling this hip back and I'm reaching forward here. What this is doing is naturally aligning my hip, knee, and toe. So one, I'm not getting my knee to move any crazy places, and I put a little bit more stretch and tension into that hip. Okay. So it's going to look like this. Lunging forward, reaching that hip back, and then coming back. I'm still working my quad because I'm having to come back from that lunge. However, I get a little bit more stretch into that hip and into that glute. So again, lunging, reaching, and pressing. And from the front, that's going to look like a lunge, reach, and a press. Okay. This puts a lot less tension because I'm not bending into that knee quite nearly as much as keeping my shoulders back and diving those hips forward. If you want to get more into progressing that quad, progressing that knee over time, that is where you can barely start to just let that knee start to dive forward. Little by little, still keeping that hip back, but saying, can I add a little bit more tension and pressure forward? Can I keep my chest up just a little bit more? And over time, you can start to progress into that deeper lunge. But it takes time. Don't rush into it. So start with the reverse lunge, go into the front lunge with the hip back, and then slowly start to progress it to a more quad dominant, knee powerful movement. Don't forget, if you love what you're learning, I have so much more in stock for you. So hit that subscribe button, check out the other videos I've done in the past, and leave any comments of any suggestions that you have for videos in the future. And I can't wait to help you feel incredible and amazing within your body.